Hey everyone, it is blog day, and so this is the blog for RPGs, and this is kind of like my story time, and maybe some hints and tips, and maybe some RPG stuff that you might want to check out. Just quickly, we had a session this past Sunday. We've been having some like happenstance sessions. I mean, like, because of the fact that I was at a wedding, or I was actually, if you want to hear the story about the wedding, you can go ahead and check out the first blog I released today, which is Board Games in Life. But I was the minister of a wedding, and so I was gone, but I made it back on Sunday morning, and then so we had a very abbreviated session on Sunday because of the fact that in this storyline, and sometime I'll have to actually tell the whole storyline, but in the storyline that we're going through in our campaign, there's this religious, like, this one giant church, and then there's this one minor church, but all other like religions and everything like that are disavowed, and you can't worship them. So my character is a bard, and strangely enough, I've kind of now been thrust into the leadership role of the party, mostly because I'm the most connected person, and I'm like, we used to have a priest of the one major religion, this god named Ardra, the Red Queen, and anyway, but he got killed, and so the bards are these well-known, they're the performers, but they're also well-known negotiators, well-known diplomatic envoys, that sort of thing. And so, since that's what I am, I have the most connections with everything. There is an elf, and this is a really weird world. I can't possibly describe it all, but I mean, elves are considered to be this completely like alien race that nobody really trusts. It's just the elves. Like, there's an elf in the party that also has traveled with us. Right now, for whatever reason, my character is the only one that's left from the very beginning of the campaign still alive. The people have just died off left and right, and I'm still running around. The big thing is that there was this rift within this big giant church. The high priestess of the church, who is the walking embodiment of the god, if you believe that, was captured, and this secondary rift of people kind of put their own person on the throne and said that this is the new queen. And then what happened is that we eventually were able to rescue her, bring her back, the whole 9 yards, and we were sent to hunt down the last few people that were part of this rival faction. And so there was one person left, this like high imperator of the Red Queen, and we play a different version of D&D that we created ourselves, and there's a class within that that's called the Sword Master. Just think monk, but only with like sword, or and you don't have to play a sword. It's like I think it's called Weapon Master or something like that, but we just always have called them Sword Masters. And so they don't wear any armor, but they get all these special abilities and attacks and things like that they can do. But regardless, there was this guy, and he's known as the finest swordsman in the land, was what it was called. And so we tracked him down in the same location that the King of Thieves, this guy by the name of Urish the Seven-Fingered, we tracked them down to this way out of the way hovel in the middle of nowhere, and there was a big battle. We basically got together on Sunday just to have this big battle, because the last session we basically walked into the room where these people were with their thieves and their cohorts and whatever. And so we had a huge battle. We had a couple of really, really lucky moments. My bard, other than looking pretty, really hasn't been able to do anything. His job in almost every combat is just to play the song that gives us either +1 to defense, +1 to our armor class, or +1 to attack. That's kind of like my thing. But I finally got a hold of some decent spells, and I can cast second level spells, and so I actually had like Hold Person, which is, obviously paralyzing somebody is a huge deal. That was my I cast that on the big bad guy, and he rolled a 1 on the saving throw, so he was paralyzed and frozen. And when that happened, it just kind of crumbled down. Plus, because I was able to talk my way out of Urish being upset with me because he wanted to kill me because I stole this elven amulet from him. He he did not join in the fight, and then I was able to. I mean, my bard's kind of questionably moral. I tricked him and told him I would give him back his amulet, and I reached into this bag. Like, technically, it's like a bag of holding type thing. And I reached in there, but instead I pulled out this sword that I have that's magical, that I can charge with my own blood, which I had done already, and then it basically allows me to do a critical hit. And so I did that. We used critical hit tables. I successfully attacked him. He got off a spell, actually. He had a spell that he could cast. He got off a spell right before, and I made the saving throw against, otherwise it would have blinded me. But I stabbed him, did 4 times damage, and pretty much took him out. And that was it, right? We got rid of 2 people that wanted us dead. It was actually a pretty huge moment. We paralyzed the guy, we tied him up, we dragged him back. There was all this other stuff going on with these elves that are trying to break into the city. It's a long story. Think weird things, weird invasion from stuff from out in the wilds in the world and stuff like that, coming in to attack civilization. And the elves were the first people to be attacked, and so now they're kind of racing back and trying to hide within this huge giant city that we're in. But then we presented this guy to the queen. I'm thinking she's going to kill him, but no, she didn't, right? And he had a sword that was really, really nice, and I stole it. I took it, and I put it in my, because I basically have kind of a portable hole, and I took it and I placed it in the portable hole, and then I closed it, and then so I could hide it. And the queen actually asked, this walking embodiment of the god, asked me if where his sword was, because it was a very, very powerful weapon and it needed to be found. And I said, well, unfortunately in the combat, it got misplaced. We don't know what happened to it. And she did this long stare at me, is he lying kind of thing. And she was like, no matter, whatever. And she just, moved on, right? And that was kind of a whew moment, which either A, she knows, who knows, right? It's all about D&D, and who knows what the story is that the DM's trying to tell me. But yeah, and that was kind of cool that I managed to get out of that one alive. But Connor Dillon, the pretty boy bard, is still alive, and now we've been sent to go into this ancient elven door that's in the ground that the dwarves know how to get to. And we're supposed to go in there to find this weapon we can use to fight against the impending evil demon creatures or whatever that are coming to attack. So anyway, it's been an interesting campaign. I think we're kind of wrapping up, weirdly enough. We've been playing it a little over a year, which is kind of normal. But again, we've been playing over a year, and I'm 4th level, and I've made it to every session. So you have an idea of how long this campaign, the very gradual move of this campaign is. So, all right. So one thing I wanted to mention right now, with the release of Pathfinder 2, Frog God Games, which I make no bones about. I think that they do, they produce some of, if not the best stuff for 5th edition D&D, Pathfinder, Swords and Wizardry, which is a 1st edition D&D type clone. They do fantastic work. And the thing is that their Pathfinder stuff is, as Bill Webb, the CEO, told me one time, pretty soon that's just going to be really heavy paperweights, expensive paperweights, because they don't. So they are, if you can find them at conventions and whatever, they are, like trying to, get rid of their Pathfinder stuff, and you can get a hold of it pretty cheap. I'm going to say once again, even though I've talked about this before, I've reread portions of this again just because it's so well written. The Blight is huge, and The Blight is all about this urban horror, Cthulhu-esque evilness. Just picture a totally corrupted, horrible city, and that's what The Blight is. I can't stress enough just how amazing this book is, and I want to, if you can find this. As I said, it's like, how many pages is this? It's like over 1,000. Let me see here. No, it isn't over 1,000. I apologize. It is only 954 pages. So, but this is chock full of wonderful art. Great. It has a mini campaign inside of it, so you can just you can run a campaign directly out of it, and you can put your players through it. And it isn't Pathfinder First Edition, but it is not. If you've been playing any kind of role-playing game for a long time, I strongly suggest that you be able to convert anything you want into it. And if all else, it is a fantastic read, and also you'll be able to steal tons of information from this to be used in any kind of campaign that you might consider running yourself. So that's that. I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Now, the last thing I wanted to say is I wanted to give. I always wanted to give kind of advice, and you can take this or leave this. And a lot of times, as I said, like RPG advice, like or advice for the game master, that kind of thing. And a lot of it is real basic, straightforward. It isn't really like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of that. It's just like it's pretty common sense stuff that's going on. I mean, the biggest common sense thing is that try to make sure your players have fun if you're running a game. And then if they don't seem to be having fun, ask them what they would like to see that's different, or what they would like to see change, that kind of thing. Talk to your players, find out what they want to do, listen to them, and try to make the game into something that they like. But here's the big thing. I think that, like, a long time ago, when I first started playing D&D, and this is in the 70s, the game was made in a way that the DM was out to get the players. I mean, that's just the way it was. It was like people, the idea of a campaign just didn't really exist. It was one of those things where it's like you if your character lived and got to second level, that was an achievement, but it was just, one failed poison save away from, having to scrub that character and pull up another one. So I think that we've moved past that, obviously. I think 3rd edition did a great job of moving past that and really allowing players to really dive into their characters, but also like because of all like the feats and all the things that you could do to like improve your characters and kind of all the little like bonuses and what have you, you really kind of got into not only the story of your characters, but also the progression of your characters. And that's not I'm not here to debate whether that's good or bad. I can't really say one way or the other. But I do think we're in a situation now where character death is pretty uncommon, unless it's like a one-shot like campaign, night kind of type of thing. Or you just have to. It is like something that. If it does happen, it has to suit the story, if that makes sense. It has to, be part of, like, the logical progression of your character. Like, I mean, I remember a Pathfinder campaign where my monk, lawful good monk, in order to save the world, he ran and pushed I might have told the story before, and I apologize if you heard it, but basically, like, it turned out one person in our party was actually, like, evil the entire time, and it was we kind of had figured it out. There's a couple of weird things that were going on, but um, they were trying to like they were working. It was a Norse themed game, and so they were trying to poison the world tree because of they were being directed by whatever chaotic evil god was in the world at that time to destroy it. And so, in order to stop him, my monk ran and like basically tackled him off the edge of a cliff to fall into like the molten lava below. Very 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 much. Very, very Mount Doom type of thing. But, it was just, and that was the end of the campaign, though. My character died, but I saved the world doing it. And to this day, I'm still really proud of how that character handled it. I mean, there's been other situations where in the middle of a campaign, Rappan Athuk, which I've talked about many, many times, is like probably the best dungeon ever, in my opinion. But there was a room in which there was going to be a total party kill. And my buddy Joel, his ranger, got everybody out of the room and then sealed the doors. The only way to close the doors is somebody had to be inside, and so he sealed the doors and basically sacrificed himself. He was, punched into paste by an iron golem for his trouble, but he saved the rest of the party because they were able to run away and get it. So that was like that was in Pathfinder, I believe. It might have been 3.5 D&D, but it was a logical progression. It was a logical end to the player's character. So I mean, that's where you're going to find character death now in most campaigns. My big thing, and this is, as players, I think as a player, you need to allow, and I think this is what a lot of players don't allow, but I think as players, you need to allow your game master to tell the story that they want to tell. You hear stories all the time about like things where it's like players will just because of the open sandbox type of world, and a good DM will allow these things to happen, and will just, I've talked about the illusion of choice before, and they'll just make the players feel like they're in control of their lives, but they really aren't. And I think there's a subtle, and there's an art to that, and I think I have it down pretty well, and it's something that I think most game masters need to figure out, just because of if you can adapt your world and change your world and in response to what the players are doing. And so, like, you get to tell your story regardless of what their decisions are. I mean, other than, we decide to kill the king, something crazy like that. You are able then to tell your story, and then the players feel like they're important parts in the world. But that's something, I don't think you can really teach yourself that. You have to kind of play lots of games. You have to have a lot of information at your disposal. And plus, you have to, like, really go into most of your sessions with like a very limited outline of what your plan is for that particular day, and also maybe a few maps of some dungeons you think they might be visiting, things like that. But for the most part, you just have to have like a just a very very amorphous hold on what the campaign world is going, and then you wait for the players to pick a position, and then you kind of solidify what's happening around them as they go. So that being said, I do think the biggest mistake that dungeon masters or game masters make is that they don't allow their players to be the heroes. Now, there's a lot of campaigns, and I'm going to explain this, but there's a lot of campaigns where, we're going to play grim and dark and dirty, right? And so, like, your players are no more special than the other people. Well, the thing is, they are more special. You know why? Because they're not going out into a field and hitting it with a hoe to try to make their life. They are, putting on armor, grabbing a sword, and they are going on an adventure. They are adventurers. So, yes, they are something special. And I think that what we sometimes get away from if we go grim and dark and dirty is that we don't allow people to be heroes. You can be grim and dark and dirty and realistic and low magic and all those things that, I really, really love, but you can make your players feel important and feel powerful. Perfect example, my bard. He is 4th level. He has, I think, 20 hit points. 2 good hits and he's out. He's down. He's gone. And he's dead. But he has some power as far as magic goes. He can kind of fight, not really though. But the biggest thing he has going for him is that I have connections. I have people that really, really like Connor. Most, some because I've just, because he's got a high charisma, and I've just made good choices as who I've backed and who I've decided and done favors for certain people. Sometimes it's because I cast a few charm person spells here and there, and made friends where I didn't have friends. The big thing is that you have to. I have power. I have ability. I can call upon people to do things for me that normally I wouldn't be able to pull off. That, and I have a very, very good sense of self-preservation. Connor does tend to run when things tend to go bad, and then I rethink my position and I go back in. You can make your characters important. You can make the characters in your campaign important and powerful without giving them importance and power. Now, what I mean by that is that you can make a 3rd level fighter, you can put him in charge of a garrison of like 8 to 10 troops. Now, these can be just dudes these can be like little mercenary warriors. They're not even like fighters. They are guys with 4 or 5 hit points, but you can give them spears, you can give them shields, you can give them some ring mail, and all of a sudden now you have a ability for that fighter to have access to some meat shields. Some people that, like, as long as he feeds them, as long as he doesn't throw them into suicidal actions. The bottom line is that if your campaign is low magic and dark and gritty and everything like that, if your 3rd level fighter shows up at somebody's door and he's got 6 other people with him, and there's 3 people in there, and then they're going to look at that and they're going to say, yeah, we might be able to kill 2 or 3 of this guy's flunkies, but we're dead. And so if your DM is playing it for reals, you're going to be able to, just get out of the situations without a fight if you have that. Now, that isn't the same as if you're going into a dungeon and there's like an ogre there. The ogre's dumb. He's just going to start swinging his club around and trying to knock people over. But by doing that, and something like that, and you can think of like thieves can have like a band of the thieves always the beggars and the lost children are always like the thieves cohorts. Clerics can have acolytes. Wizards can have scribes, things like that. Wizards can be owed favors by nobles and things like that. There's all kinds of options you have. You can it's easy to make characters that have lots of power. If you're playing, and this is nothing against playing a Pathfinder campaign, this is nothing against playing a 5th edition campaign, but obviously I play a lot of 1st edition D&D, and you don't have the same, combat is way more deadly, in like old school games, just because it's like you're -1 hit points, you're dead. That's a big thing. But the other big thing is that you don't have all these little feats and abilities and everything like that to fall back on. You just have your level and the equipment that you have, and it's easy to make people that have I'm going to use my power attack, and I'm going to go ahead and I have I've improved initiative and I have all these spells, and it's easy to make people that can basically perform miracles into important people and powerful people, but. But even in those campaign those things, you do have to make sure that those people feel important. I don't care if you are like a 5th level cleric or whatever. Like, let's say, what is it? God, you get raised at a 5th level spell, right? So if you're a 9th level cleric and you can bring somebody back from the dead, right? They've just keeled over, they've been poisoned. You can run over, and if you have the components, or whatever, you can bring them back from the dead. That is an amazingly huge power, but it doesn't mean anything if it's just yeah, well, Bob the cleric of Peller down the road, he does it too. So I'm not going to be impressed with you today. If you make the people around them so commonplace normal, then your players aren't going to feel special. And we already are living lives where we aren't exactly special, right? I mean, there's the rarefied few that like we can say that that are the special people in this world, the famous and the rich and whatever. But the vast majority of us, yes, we have those handful of people that love us and care about us that we are very special to. But it is very difficult, obviously, to be special. That's why we play role-playing games, because then we can be something special. We can be doing things that we don't normally do. Nobody plays a role-playing game and says, today I'm going to go to the office and collate reports. That's just not what we do. So I kind of jumped around a little. I apologize for this. But the big thing is, summing it all up, long story short, why didn't you do this from the beginning, is make your players feel like they are important to the world. If your players want to have their characters get from point A to point B and they have a specific goal in their life, whether it is, I want to reclaim the dwarven kingdoms from the hill giant armies to the north, or whether it is, I want to find my long lost brother who was kidnapped by pirates when I was 5. Those are great goals, and like, in all honesty, like the 13th Age role-playing game does a very good job of like incorporating those types of things into character creation. Check out that game, it's pretty good. But ask your players what their goals are, ask them what they want to try to do with their character, and then try to give that to them. And then incorporate it into the overarching story of whatever it is the campaign that you're trying to do. Because ultimately, all role-playing games are a story that you and your friends like just act your way through over the course of several hours and several sessions, and you work together to create a story that has wonderful moments, things that make you laugh, things that make you cheer, things that might even make you go, "Aw, that's kind of sad," and make it real. And that's why role-playing games are so much fun and so much a group effort between everybody to pull one off. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing I can see, like, I've ever had a problem with a dungeon master or a game master is when I feel like it doesn't even matter if my characters are even there or doing anything, because of the fact that the story seems to progress with or without me, and I'm not doing anything important at all. And at that point, I'm checked out. I don't care. Just tell me when I roll my 20-sided, and I'll tell you whether or not I hit. Because that's I'm not tied in. I'm not a part of it. I'm not engaged, and I don't really care. And as the DM, that's the worst thing ever. You don't want your players to just give up caring. So, there you go. That was RPGs and my blog. I probably went on way too long. I do apologize, and I kind of rambled a little bit, but that tends to happen with me, as you know. So, but hopefully, tell me about a campaign you felt that your character story was really awesome, really cool. Like, even if you died, and like, maybe did you die for a heroic thing? Did you die stupidly? Did you die saving the world or saving a loved one in that particular campaign? Tell me about as a DM when like you just couldn't get your players to care about the campaign that you were doing and what you learned from that. Or tell me about one that worked out great, where all the players were just like there, they were hanging on every word you had, and the players constantly like made you happy, surprised you, got you excited, and made you want to just come back to that table time and time again to finish off that story and have a wonderful moment. So, yeah, that'd be awesome. Alright, so there you go. That is RPGs. Thank you very much for tuning in for Blog Day. Please listen to the other 2 blogs I do, Board Games and Life, and also Miniatures Gaming. And yeah, just as I've said, and I keep saying, have yourself an awesome day. Remain positive, be the person people want to be around, and remove the toxic elements from your life, and just concentrate on the things that make you happy. Alright, until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, telling you, you're awesome, and I can't wait to talk to you again.